Hello, everybody. Super good morning to everyone. Kevin Chan here, 8:30 in the morning today, and we are back at the juncture of talking about BaZi, and it is the 10 gods. And the one that win the voting is indirect wealth today. So we'll be talking about indirect wealth today to add into your database of BaZi learning. Right. Good morning to Pek Pui. Sunny Rock is here. Carol is around, right? So good morning, everybody. So we are on the 8th of May today, and it's a Thursday. Hopefully, everyone is feeling happy about the situation, right? So no, yeah, I know, still a bit on the peaceful side, all right. Having the going into the year of the month of the snake, which is the Grand Duke month, right? Right. So not yet. Because why the actual triggering point should be at the 12th, where you will see the sinci day. This is a sinci month, right? So you basically see the sinci day on the 12th. So yeah, so explosion on the 12th. Right, so let me shrink myself smaller version, right? So today you see another background of a bunch of different gods. I'm just showing you guys this as in, the world has a lot of gods, right? So not every single different culture have a different belief, right? So different religion got different belief, right? So everybody got different vision or how you basically see things as God or whatever, a higher being, more powerful being, energetic being, whatever that you want to call it. So with the advancement of the Marvel multi-universe, right? So no, not only you got higher being right now, you got multi-universe being, right? So it's getting more and more difficult for somebody to understand what is happening. Okay, right. So today we're gonna be understanding about the indirect wealth, right? So as usual, right? So now this is the voting what we call result, right? So 250 of you voted out of 2,000 guys. So I always say democracy is like that. Not everybody that is given the right to vote will actually come and vote, and those very small number of people who actually come and vote will decide the fate for all the people who have the right but did not exercise their right. Right, so this is basically what happened. Right, so 29% voted for indirect wealth. So we will be talking about indirect wealth today. Then, right, pretty simple. Right, so then next is getting in touch with me. Telegram is a good way of getting in touch with me, right? So and then there is the newsletter and also the community channel. Yes, for those of you who have already signed up for the walking the dragon excursion, there is a few of you still haven't replied to me. Can you please check your spam email box? There's been so many of them finally found the email in the spam email box. I've also sent you a WhatsApp message. Please reply so that I know that you are a real person. Else today I will be giving you a call. Okay? Right, so pretty simple. Right, so if you have not done anything about discovering your BaZi and you need a BaZi plotter, typing Astro is the one that I'm currently using right now. You can scan the QR code and go in. Just sign up for the free version will be okay already. So you can go and print your BaZi chart, and the 10 God is actually already translated by the software. So if you're using this software, this is where the 10 God translation is. Right, so it's pretty easy for you. So you don't have to do any remembering at all, as in how to translate this, how to basically translate that. So don't need to do. Most software is basically done for you already. The translation itself. So of course, and if you go out and use other software, which is a lot of them is Chinese based one, right? Then they might not have an English translation for you. Then good luck, but it's the same. All right. So go and sign up, right? So if you find that the software is useful for you and you want most of the advanced feature, which include a lot of searches that you can do, can do a lot of search, right? So then you can pay a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription, right? So then you can use the software, right? So then next thing is these are all the 10 gods, right? So the one with the balloon doggy are the one that we have done. Right, so we have done half of it already. 5 of it has already been done. So we have done Friend Star, Rockwell Star, Eating God, Hurting Officer. So which means that the companion and the output component has already been done. We have also done the 7 killing. So today we'll be looking at indirect wealth star, right? So let's take a look at the indirect wealth star, right? So indirect wealth star, a lot of time, right? So now when you have the wealth star there, of course the general knowledge or the general circumstance or the general agreement, it has to do with money, but in actual sense it has nothing to do with money at all, right? So although the naming convention they put the word wealth there, right? So now you have a lot of a mixed feeling of, I'm going to get rich, right? So of course the entire wealth area or the entire wealth profile has been overly advertised as well, right? So it is been purportedly what we call label as the best of the best, right? Because why? The current modern era, everybody love money. It's very pretty simple, right? So now indirect wealth, if you want a representation, very easy. It's basically Wolf of Wall Street. If you have not seen yet, right? Wolf of Wall Street, is basically the manifestation or personification of the indirect wealth, right? So if you watch the entire show, it's basically about indirect wealth, right? So now today, you're going to go in and understand a little bit about the profile of the indirect wealth and the functionality of how indirect wealth basically work in this particular episode, right? So first of all, the formula for indirect wealth, very simple, is the energy that your day master counter of the same polarity, right? So it's the energy of your day master counter of the same polarity. It is labeled as indirect wealth. So a few things that you need to start understanding first. Why this have very little to do with wealth, but then at the same time it is labeled as wealth, right? So the entire idea of wealth in the olden day is basically ownership, or the entire idea of you having to control, or having power over the other party. So you can see that the energy right now is that you are basically exerting a suppressing energy or an attacking energy against another energy, right? You are attacking. So wood counter earth. So that's why Jia would attack earth. It would attack the earth. Same polarity, right? So you can see water counter fire. So you can see rain water counter冰 fire, quick water counter 冰 fire. So it's a energy of direct attacking. So it shows power control over the other party. So now this is where sometimes you need to do a bit of a thinking for yourself, right? So self-thinking, right? So what happened here is that what happened if you're on the other side of the receiving end? What will you be seeing? While you are looking at indirect wealth and being happy that, oh, I got wealth star in my chart. A lot of people are like that. Oh, I'm gonna get rich. The other party is looking at a 7 killing. Jia wood indirect wealth is Wu Earth 7 killing. Right? So can you see? Right? So can you see that your pursuit of wealth is actually the other party receiving of aggression? Okay. Do you still see wealth star as a merely a wealth indicator, as in I'll get rich, I'll get money? No, it's basically the wealth star is basically an aggressor star. It's the star that basically exert a lot of aggressive thing towards the other party in terms of control, right? So now think about it in the olden day. So who are the wealthy in the very olden day? Is whoever that is able to bring food back to the clan. Pretty simple, right? Who are the wealthy people, right? So now if you are in a community or in a clan, who is the most valuable what we call party member? It's going to be people who are going to be able to bring food back to the clan or party. That's going to be the most valuable player, right? So now for you to get food from the outside, what is the main criteria? You need to be able to kill the food, right? Makes sense, right? You want to eat deer meat, you need to kill the deer, right? So and also at the same time, you need to be able to survive other entity that may come and kill you, right? So a tiger want to eat the deer, you want to eat the deer, both of you see the deer. Now how, right? So you cannot go to the tiger and tell them that you will take the left leg. No, I will take the right leg. Doesn't work, right? So it's actually about a lot of things about aggression. So if you move it to a bit more modern side, it's again about ownership, right? So how do you own certain things? Through fighting. right? At least in the little bit more modern side of it, ownership of thing is basically through fighting, right? So of course, when we come to right now, we no longer, we no longer directly kill the animal, right? We don't do that anymore, right? At the same time, we also right now no longer fight other people, at least not outside of the world. There are still some outside of the world that are still very busy in, the entire idea of fighting each other, for stuff. Right? So we don't really do it anymore. So what happened here is that the well star is actually indicating of your ability or your willingness to put in effort into certain things, take action against certain things. So that basically give you wealth energy, right? So specifically, if you take a look at indirect wealth, it's because two energy of a similar capacity is interacting with each other. You will find that indirect wealth is basically an energy that talk about opportunistic winning, right? So it has an exponential component, right? So as compared to, this one, you need to be as compared to the direct wealth. So when we talk about direct wealth, you see that direct wealth is a linear growth, right? So direct wealth is a linear growth, whereas indirect wealth is an exponential growth. So which means that when you engage in an attacking activity, so which means with the let's say the sin metal attack it would, right? The chances of you winning is 50-50. Right? So that's why we call this being a bit more on the exploitational, opportunistic type of situation. So if the other way around also is the same thing, seven killing, you can see seven killing. Seven killing is the energy of directly attacking you. So why does the seven killing actually train a person to be aggressive? Because why the chances of you winning a seven killing fight is also 50-50. Right? So it's like seven killing people is not because that they are aggressive by the seven killing, it's because too many people has been attacking them, taking advantage of them, that they have no other choice but to fight back. So as they fight back more and more, they become more and more stronger, right? So and in the end, what happened is that they will start to realize that being able to be aggressive against the other person is a way to ensure their own safety. So that's the logic of building up a seven killing. Whereas for the indirect wealth is different. Indirect wealth is that I'm gonna take a chance to attack the other party. So because this particular fight is that it's a 50-50 fight, I'm not really sure whether I will win or lose. Right? So as times goes by, they develop this particular sense of knowing whether this thing they can win or they cannot lose. So what happened is that they start to avoid all the fight that basically they know that they're going to lose, so they're going to avoid all the fight, and they're just going to pick the fight whereby they know that their winning chance is much more higher. So that's why indirect wealth people usually they are more strategic in the way of thinking. So in your organization, if you want a strategic thinker, strategic management type of people, people who basically are looking at loss and gain ROI in a much more better manner. So that's why Wolf of Wall Street being the share market, right? So share market a lot of time we look at the return on investment ROI. It's basically indirect wealth. Indirect wealth have this particular sense, right? So they got very very strong market sense. They got very strong sense of exchange, right? So now just asking because the chat screen is a bit on the frozen side. So if you guys are typing anything, just tell you all that I can't see it. Right, let me just check on the handphone, going into Facebook to take a look. Right, all right. So my iPhone also need to be clean. Right, so I can't see any of your chat going up. If it's working, if somebody can type something, I can see a few things here. But never mind lah. It's all right. No worry. So let me just type something into the chat. Right, whether you guys can see or not, right? So it's not moving, never mind, we just continue with this one, right? So back to this one, right? So it's an exponential growth. So this is like taking a chance in the market. So that's why the indirect wealth a lot of time is very associated with the entire idea of gambling, right? So buying lottery lah, right? So no, please if you got indirect wealth inside your chart doesn't mean that your lottery luck is very good. It got nothing to do with that. Right? So that association with lottery luck is basically pretty much on the wrong side of things. But because people like So people like all this kind of, somehow I just found that people like all everything that you promise them that you get a lot of things without doing anything. They love this sort of promises, right? So they like to go for this sort of thing, and then they get grossly disappointed by it, and then they blame the system for not working. It's because why the translation is wrong to begin with, right? So let's take a look at the characteristic of it, right? So now you see there, look, the indirect wealth is like getting yourself involved in a street fight, right? So it's like now this one is, of course, you need to compare it with a stage fight. You see, a stage fight got a lot of rules and regulation that govern the safety of both parties. There are certain things in a stage fight whereby you are not allowed to do, right? So whereas when you're in a street fight, right, no hold back, no barrel, and everything also can be done. Right? The entire idea of going into a street fight is that you ultimately you win. It is not about honor. It is not about your method or your technique. Nothing to do with that. Right? So so in a street fight, you can call it fair, you can call it unfair at the same time. Right? So that's why a indirect wealth usually they don't really bother too much about the market and how the market is basically functioning. So they usually go for what we call a gap in the market, right? So they go for the gap in the market. So they attack the gap in the market that is happening, right? So it's like the price differentiation. So a lot of time I like to use the example of vegetable farmer, right? So there's basically two type of vegetable farmer. One are the honest type, the direct wealth type of vegetable farmer. So whereby they know that the price of my vegetable is this price, let's say $10. If I want to earn $100, I plant 10 vegetable lah, right? So if I want to earn 200, I plant 20, 300, 30, right? That's very typical direct wealth way of doing things, approaching any sort of things. It's like effort lah. I put more effort, I should get more result. I put more effort, I will get result. The brain is very linear, right? So then there is the indirect wealth, which again, if it's a farmer, indirect wealth, the first thing that indirect wealth do is that we'll go out to the market and basically ask the market people, hey, what are you paying for this vegetable? What are you paying for that vegetable? Why are you paying for this? Why are you paying for that? So the fellow will go and pick the vegetable that give them the highest return. Then they will plant that particular vegetable. So let's, for example, if let's say a broccoli pay 50, right? So if you're gonna earn $100, yeah, I can either plant 10 cabbage, which is 10 each, or I can plant 2 broccoli, which is 50 each. Right, so can you see that the indirect wealth will play around with the effort convert, right? So that's why indirect wealth in actual approaching a project or a job, right? They will usually approach low effort, high return type of job, right? So they will put down or they will let go of those jobs that they feel like it required too much effort, and the return is basically not there. Right? So sometimes that's why you say that the indirect wealth people a bit on the dishonest side of things, right? So you call them opportunistic, right? So they are very active when there is window in the market. When there's no window in the market, where you required to be very baseline with the thing that you are doing, right? So you will see that the indirect wealth people usually try to shun this sort of situation. The indirect wealth people are hardly, you cannot call them hardworking. You call them very smart working. So like for example, in a street fight, right? So indirect wealth will basically pull whatever punches that is required to win, including jabbing your eye. Right? Jabbing your eye, kicking your ball, right? So yeah, the entire idea is to win the fight, the entire idea is not to win the fight fairly, right? So it's, the entire idea is not to display my skill set in the correct sequence manner. The entire idea is that to reach the what we call the destination of it. So this one is a lot like Bruce Lee. Right? You know that Bruce Lee, the Jeet Kune Do, right? The Jeet Kune Do is basically a cut down version of a lot of other fighting technique. A lot of other fighting technique, they got a lot of flowery thing that they do, right? Which Jeet Kune Do find that yeah, your fighting is effective, but the fella don't want it, so he cut a lot of things down. Like for example, Jeet Kune Do like to do side kick, because side kick is very powerful and also is have the furthest reach among all the kick. So that's why you can see Bruce Lee like to do side kick, right? So side kick and straight punches is basically what Jeet Kune Do like to do a lot, right? So it cuts away all the fluff in it, right? So indirect wealth have that particular ability lah, right? So to do that, right? So this is why if you are an indirect wealth person, right, the way that you do things is very strategic. So you would basically learn a lot very quickly about the market, and you straight away will be honing into area whereby low effort and high return is basically there. You will do that lah, right? So but at the same time also there's going to be a lot of the risk of betting on the wrong thing is there for indirect wealth. So the risk of betting on the wrong stuff is basically there. So which means that this one is you throw a certain what we call sucker punch, right? You throw a certain sucker punch and the sucker punch fail, you're going to be punished by the other side, right? So it's going to be that sort of situation, right? So indirect wealth tend to, when successful, they tend to leap very very far ahead of other people. So they basically make big bets against the situation. So same thing if they misjudge the distance between the leap, you're gonna fall very bad, right? You're gonna fall very very bad, which means that they're gonna lose a lot of money. So that's why it is very very close to the situation of doing a gambling. And so doing a gambling, right? So it's very very close to that particular situation, and hence that's why indirect wealth is very closely associated with gambling activity. So you can see that a person with very strong indirect wealth in their chart, right? So tend to, when doing a reading, they tend to say that this particular person income is very not very honest, right? Right? Pin choi mean unfortunately mean dishonest earning, right? So now in the olden day, doing business is very dishonest in the olden day. So that's why in the olden day they don't like businessmen, right? They don't like businessmen. They like the honest type of people, right? So in the olden days it's like that lah. If today your entire profile is direct wealth, you wait to be exploited by people only lah. Yeah, if what you can offer into the world is just pure hardworking, so you wait to be exploited by people lah. Because why? There's going to be other people who's going to use other methods to basically leap you over, right? So like for example, the AI, right? So now if you compare the usage of AI, right? So between direct wealth and indirect wealth people will definitely utilize AI more than direct wealth people. Again, direct wealth people, the brain structure sometimes is a bit not, it doesn't refresh fast enough to chase after the what we call, for them is that they believe that doing thing in the more systematic, more honorable way of doing stuff is basically the correct way of doing things, right? So but they do not see the potential of actually doing a leap, right? So they want to go through the step by step instead of jumping step, right? So nothing wrong with it nothing basically wrong with it. To me is that if the situation required you to do a leap, then you better do a leap, right? So that's why a lot of time in career or job, right, there is no such thing as this particular profile is more superior in terms of getting work done. It's depend on the nature of the position. So if the position required somebody who has a very keen sense of opportunity, then indirect wealth person more suits the job. So like for example, if you are going into and doing share market trading, so like again Wolf of Wall Street type of thing stuff, right? Indirect wealth will definitely has a better advantage over a direct wealth, or over the rest of the thank God, automatically one, because why? The fella has that particular ability, right? So now it's normal lah, right? So the indirect wealth energy is a very opportunistic energy. You will basically zone into area whereby he or she knows that little effort can basically be leveraged into a bigger return. Again, first, nothing wrong with doing that, right? So in relationship, indirect wealth people will look for easy love, right? People who basically have indirect wealth. Let's say that you're sitting on indirect wealth, right? You're sitting on indirect. Doesn't matter guys or girls, right? So it doesn't matter guys or girls, right? So they will basically go for easy love. right? So whoever is an easier prey for them in terms of love related matter, they will basically do that lah, right? So now as soon as they find another person which is easier, they will switch over to the easier. They always look for easy relationship. So which also same time is that they like to exploit relationship in a way. Right? So like for example, if you are a person who's sitting on indirect well, you happen to be a lady, so you prefer a rich partner. Again, nothing wrong with it. Prefer a rich partner is nothing wrong with it. Right? So like if let's say that you're a guy, right, it doesn't mean you prefer a rich girl, you prefer a easy girl. Right? So because guys and girls when they select a partner, their selection criteria is different. Right? So they want easier selection criteria. So if a girl selection criteria is a success of a person, so they will always go and find the guy which is a bit more successful. So which means two guys come and chase after the girl. One guy is more successful than the other guy. Now this is from the perspective of the girl. She will allow the guy who is more successful to approach her. Right? The door open for that one. Right? So no matter what the other not very successful fellow is doing, all lose one. Right? Whereas guy is different. So sorry to say no. Guy a lot of time, look at girls is just either youth or sex. Again, 18 as sex a bit. So which fella allow that thing, the guy will go after that girl. So if you have an indirect wealth boyfriend, very dangerous. Right? So now then what about raw wealth? Raw wealth is comparing and allowing people to walk in is a very different thing, right? It's a very different concept, right? So although both of them basically got two party to put on the weighing scale, one is looking for easy prey, another one is looking for you want to call betterment of things, so which means a rock wealth don't mind putting in effort to chase after the thing. Indirect wealth will not put in effort. Indirect wealth basically just sit there and wait for you to walk in. Right? Whoever walk in, eat who. Indirect wealth is like that. Right? So that's the basic situation when you are looking at the indirect wealth. Right? So now again, nothing wrong with the energy itself. It's just about being able to conquer on the other side. So put it in a way, indirect wealth is somebody who would look at the situation, right? Make a sort of a guess judgment on it, whether I will be able to overpower the situation and own the thing. Right? So if the indirect wealth sense that in any of this situation that the fella is in a lower position, unable to complete the task, what they do is that they abandon. AKA call they cut loss. Indirect wealth have a ability to do cut loss. So no matter what's the loss, they will basically cut loss. Right? So then next game, indirect wealth go for next game very fast. So which means that if somebody sitting on in indirect wealth, right? Relationship, if this moment you lose the relationship very fast, next moment, next one on. Right? So they won't you won't see those Korean drama loud around, it's like very sad, it's like just lost my same thing with money and opportunity also is the same. Right? The moment they lose money, the next thing is that let's come again. So it's like again, it's like typical gambler. Right? Gambler put the bet, lose money already, what they do? Gamble again. Right? That's what they do, right? So gamble again. Right? So so if you talk about direct wealth, then it's like this one I lose already. Why? Work harder. Right? Work harder. That's it. Right? So I just need to work harder to basically gain back whatever I lose. So last month lost, this month work double. That's direct wealth worth of doing. Indirect wealth, no. Do you lose already? Okay, lose already. Pretend it never happened. Start again. That's basically indirect wealth. So indirect wealth is a very good energy when it also comes to the idea of resiliency coming back, right? So if you want to come back, resiliency, right? So all of this, right, is basically the baseline signature of a wealth energy. So wealth energy is all about conquering whatever is in front of you. You want to call attacking whatever is in front of you. Basically what they are doing. All right, cool. So that is basically your wealth star. Let me see if there's anything else after this. right? So the what we call one of the big drawback of indirect wealth is that greed got no limit. Right? So you want to see somebody who's greedy, indirect wealth is a good measurement of a person level of greed. Right? So yeah, right. Little effort, big return is what indirect wealth is looking for. Right? So that's why if you're going through an indirect wealth period, better be careful with going too greedy with stuff. The bigger chunk of meat you try to bite on, the harder is it for you to chew. Right? The bigger that the antelope that you're trying to carry back, the bigger chance of you going to be attacked by whatever animal or enemy that's around. So just think of it in that particular manner. Right? So don't be too greedy if you're going through this indirect wealth period, or you might lose everything when you gain a little bit. Right? You gain a little bit, you become greedy, right? So it's how the share market work, by the way. So you guys know share market, 99% of people lose money. There's only about 1% of people who actually make the money. Right? So they have the consistency of making money. So a lot of people in all these things is that when they start to make a little bit of money, this is also why money game work. Money game is always like that. You come in, right? They will pay you a little bit first. Right? So now you put money, then I got back my money, or really 1 month, I start to get back my return already. Then what happened? You start to put more and more money inside. When everybody start to put a lot of money inside, then they take the money and run. But then blah, 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 blah. Same thing. Share market also is the same. Especially for those people who listen to tips. Oh no, oh God. When listen to tips, when the tip make you money, that time you don't share with the person who give you the tips. But when the tips is wrong that time, right, you try to chase after the fellow who give you the tips, as in you blame them for giving you the wrong tips. It's actually a wrong thing to do. You are the one who are greedy and going into the market. If you lose money from going into the market, I'm telling you this because right now is the period, especially the next 2 years. The share market is going to be so vibrant. You're going to see a lot of stupid people making a lot of money. If you go into the market, you lose all your money, blame yourself. Don't blame anything else. Because why? Greedy. Right? Pretty simple. There's no safe way for you to go into the market. It's like, going market is like going to swim in the sea. There's no safety. Okay, guys. Right, so that's your indirect wealth. See, direct officer cannot be. Right, let's go back to the little dog. Right, so yeah, so we have our indirect wealth done. Right, so probably about next week we will do another one. See which one. Resource stuff very sad. Nobody want the resource stuff. Okay, guys, that's it. See you guys later. Bye.